Freddie Prinze on The Tonight Show, 1977. In the 1970s, sitting on the couch of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson meant your career had been officially validated. In 1977, one of the program's recurring guests was Freddie Prinze. He was 22 years old and one of the most popular figures in American television. He had gone from doing stand-up in small clubs to starring in a nationally successful sitcom in a matter of months. His career was moving faster than anyone could realistically process. But off-camera, the situation was different. Freddie was suffering from severe depression, personal problems, and was under medical treatment. In January 1977, Freddie recorded one of his last appearances on The Tonight Show. The interview was normal. Jokes, anecdotes, a relaxed conversation with Johnny Carson. To the audience, he was just another charismatic guest on the most important show in the country. Hours after that recording, Freddie Prinze shot himself in his Los Angeles apartment. He was taken to the hospital and died shortly afterward. The news spread quickly. A young, famous comedian, at the peak of his career, dead by suicide on the same day he had been smiling on national television. At that point, the network NBC already had the episode recorded and archived. But after Prince's death became public, the episode stopped circulating. As the years passed, while other The Tonight Show interviews from that era resurfaced in reruns, archives, or historical material, Freddie Prinze's did not. Sesame Street and the Wicked Witch episode, 1976. In the 1970s, Sesame Street was already one of the most influential children's television programs in the world. In 1976, the program produced a special episode featuring the Wicked Witch of the West, portrayed by Margaret Hamilton, the original actress from The Wizard of Oz. The intention was to introduce a scary character within a safe and educational setting. In the episode, the Wicked Witch arrives on Sesame Street and begins intimidating the characters. After its initial broadcast, complaints from parents began to arrive. Many children reacted with intense fear. Some experienced nightmares. Others refused to watch the program again. For a preschool audience, the tone of the episode had been too disturbing. In response to the public reaction, the producers made a decision. The episode was not aired again. It was removed from reruns. Years later, a copy of the episode resurfaced. The recording began circulating outside official channels. The episode became viewable again, but not through the program's original broadcasters. BBC and the broadcast of R. Bud Dwyer's suicide, 1987. On January 22, 1987, R. Bud Dwyer, treasurer of the state of Pennsylvania, called a press conference at the state capitol. He had been convicted weeks earlier on corruption charges, was awaiting sentencing, insisted on his innocence, and announced a final public statement. The conference began normally as Dwyer read from a prepared statement, spoke about his family and his career, then reached into a bag and pulled out a revolver, shooting himself in front of cameras and reporters and dying almost instantly. The event was captured live by multiple American television stations. In the United Kingdom, the BBC received the material and briefly aired part of it during a news broadcast before cutting the transmission. Following that initial airing, the BBC decided never to broadcast the footage again. While the recording continued to exist and circulate outside the BBC through American sources, private copies, and later the internet, the BBC's own broadcast and archival version remained withdrawn, a real-time event, recorded, briefly aired, and then permanently removed from official circulation. Top of the Pops, BBC, and the episodes featuring Jimmy Savile. For decades, Top of the Pops was one of the most important programs on British television, watched weekly by millions to see which songs were dominating the UK charts, and appearing on the show signified legitimacy and national success for artists. From its early years in the 1960s, one of its most recognizable presenters was Jimmy Savile, who became a constant on-screen presence, hosting episodes and introducing performances for many years, at the time regarded as a charismatic, eccentric, and respected television figure. Recorded weekly in studios owned by the BBC, the program and its episodes, including those featuring Savile, were routinely broadcast and reused in reruns, compilations, and anniversary specials until 2012, when, following Savile's death, multiple allegations of sexual abuse spanning decades emerged, many linked to his time at the BBC. After these findings became public, the BBC made an immediate archival decision. Episodes of Top of the Pops featuring Savile stopped being broadcast, were removed from rerun rotations, sometimes edited to remove his segments, and in some cases never aired again, leaving those recordings stored in internal archives while being excluded from standard rebroadcasts and the publicly accessible archive by editorial choice.